This is Kimberly Quinn, host of the Mindcraft podcast, and I can't tell you how much fun I have had doing this podcast. I started when the world closed over the pandemic in an attempt to spread some positivity out there and give people some strategies to enhance their own well-being and reduce anxiety and all of that. Now, 2 years later, we're still going strong and now listened to by 52 countries across the world. And I've even helped some of my students get going with their own podcasts. It's super easy to do. And I'll tell you, if you haven't heard about Anchor by Spotify, it is the easiest way to make a podcast with everything you need all in one place. I'll just explain for you. Anchor has tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. When hosting on Anchor, you can distribute your podcast on listening platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. And best of all, Anchor is totally free. Download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. It is a ball. Start today. Greetings, Minecrafters, and welcome to another Minecraft discussion on this glorious, drizzly, contemplative day in November. We call this stick season in Vermont. Which I don't know if that's probably not everywhere because we have deciduous trees versus I'm thinking like the palm trees. So yeah, stick season, and it's just like another George Winston CD today. So my name is Kimberly Quinn, and I am really sort of excited to talk with you today about the absence of disease. Dis-ease is not health. So my inspiration today really is twofold, I suppose. Sean Ager wrote The Happiness Advantage. I used his book for my Minecraft class, which I talk a lot about. And also Sarah Von Brednek, who as you know, I've talked about her a lot in different episodes too. She's the author of Simple Abundance, which I love to read, and I'm sort of revisiting in my late 50s, I can still say mid 50s for another month-ish. I'm a fabulous 57. I'm going to go with mid 50s just to hang on a little bit longer. And I used to read it in my 30s, which was also enjoyable. It's just really a nice book to read daily. Okay, so both of them in different ways talk about, people think of health as the opposite. This is more Sean Aker, but think about health as is just sort of the absence of disease. Disease meaning dis-ease. When somebody has a disease, it's a dis-ease, right? We're kind of pinched off from being at ease and feeling that nice, easy, smooth day-to-day experience of being healthy. But of course, there's a whole lot more involved with health than just unhealth. A whole lot more with being well than being unwell. Sarah starts out with a quote from one of my faves, Ralph Waldo Emerson, who lived down the street 7 houses from my other faves, Henry David Thoreau. But anyway, Ralph starts off saying, the first wealth is health. And man, I think we don't often appreciate his bold, very accurate statement until, it's swiped away from us. And I don't mean necessarily, and hopefully not on a gigantic level that's life-changing. I know from this past week, I've been over it for just a couple days now, and I did another episode. For those of you who heard this earlier, this is a whole different spin though. So I got food poisoning in the middle of the week, and I've only had that once in my life, other than last week, which is I guess still this week. Just a couple days ago, I started to bounce back. And the other time I had it was when I was 9 months pregnant with our youngest son. And it's violent and awful. And thank God it's nothing on the level of I don't even want to say the words out there. We all know what the bad stuff is, right? And but even just that 48 to 36 hours of kind of violent ninja samurais dance around in my abdomen, you really just appreciate. And I think God, for me, it's God. You can say universe, higher power, whatever. I'm aware of it, but I tell you think you're aware when you're, maybe if you have a prayer life, fine. If you're just doing positive, I don't mean just doing positive affirmations. If you're also doing or do those positive affirmations, and that is your spiritual life, that's fantastic. And we can think that we're fully appreciating until you're really thrown in this, and then you realize, like, wow, everything comes to a screeching halt when your health is not there for you for a day or two, never mind the big stuff, right? And for me, even the common cold, I have this thing with not being able to breathe. I would rather throw up with the flu for 2 weeks and not be able than have my than be congested. Um, which I never get. Literally, don't ever get the flu. I can't even tell you decades since I've had the flu. But the common cold really has me appreciating smooth breathing. So on the days when I am smoothly breathing, I said a whole gratitude when I was on a walk at the very end of my food poisoning situation, still feeling it. I was just so grateful I could breathe. It didn't involve not being able to breathe well. So the whole thing is we're going to talk about today is a blessing of health. And so Sarah starts out by saying, at this time of year, our conscious attention often turns to what we don't have rather than what we do. And for a good reason. I mean, right out of the gate, Sarah's off to the races here because the dis-ease of wanting is so out of control in the States, I think, and especially around the holidays with all the commercials. When I was a kid, the commercials were just like every 2 seconds. And we didn't get to watch much TV in my house. So the little bit you did get to watch, when they amp up the commercials to like every 35 seconds, as a child, that got a little annoying. Trying to watch the Grinch, like, leave me alone. You know what I mean? And she says, and that's without the computer pop-ups the kids have today and all this other stuff. So she says, the season of non-stop shopping has arrived. With Thanksgiving only just behind us, the race to get ready for the next round of holidays begins. No sooner have we celebrated the season of plenty than, with the advent of the first official days of Christmas shopping, we enter 4 frenetic weeks of, oh my gosh, this is great, looking, finding, buying, and ordering. But not for ourselves. We feel overwhelmed by the season of lack. Oh my gosh, I think she put such a good spin on that. The season of lack. And if we've talked about the scarcity mindset previously too, and when we are in the mindset of what we don't have, what we are lacking, and we focus on that, even at all, but especially if it goes longer than 17 seconds, we are attracting so much more lack into our lives. More deprivation, more scarcity is just flooding into our lives. And I don't think people get that. And even without all that truth right there, as you know, because we've had a lot of conversations about thoughts come first, feelings second, actions and behaviors third. When we're thinking about lack, we're actually walking around feeling deprived. And then it's sending off energy like, beacons to the universe to bring on more. So then Sarah continues. She says, so before we head to the mall, it would do our souls good to have a reality check in the form not only of counting our blessings, but for focusing on them. I like that. We can count them like sheep, right? Thank you for this, thank you for that. I'm grateful for this, I'm grateful for that. But to really focus on them, focus on what we do have, is obviously also going to open the worm that has us in receptive mode. And we then are receiving much, much more abundance into our lives and in all different ways. And then Sarah continues, money is going to have to buy a lot in the next few weeks, but it can't buy the gifts that count most. Good health, a loving and supportive marriage, healthy children, the fulfillment of creative expression, and inner peace. Oh man, snaps for that, Sarah, snaps for that. And it seems like it's just so easy to forget. It can seem cheesy, and you see lots of memes out there at this time of year. Although when she wrote this book, I'm not even sure. Computer said maybe. I don't know. They were definitely here. I just don't know how advanced we were. So I guess we were a little bit, I don't know, 30s, 20. Anyway, it's just so true. So I'll say it again here. The money, can't buy good health, a loving and supportive marriage, or just, let's say, long-term relationship, healthy children, the fulfillment, real life fulfillment of creative expression. I think of my ability to creatively express, where I work, and I'm just incredibly grateful for that basically every day. And also inner peace. And then she goes on about this. We forget this, not because we're ungrateful louts, but because we get distracted with the razzmatazz of real life. And I like that. She's this kind of taking the the shame off. They're like, oh gosh, I'm not being grateful to. You know what? In all fairness, I mean, it is on us to choose to be grateful for sure. Though and not but and in fairness, this is a media saturated, fast paced society we are living in, and there's this constant bling 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 all over the place. And now with very advanced technology, at least what we're calling that in 2022. If we could, do like a Back to the Future thing and go out a few hundred years. I'm sure they're going to think what we do is archaic, but for right now, we think it's pretty cool. So then she says, now is the time to remember. What if I gave you a choice? She says, you're guaranteed all the above joys that we just mentioned, but not a BMW in the driveway. Or you were guaranteed a BMW in the driveway with the cash to pay comfortably for the luxury home adjacent to it, but you'll have to throw the dice for real life blessings. Which would you choose? Hands down, I'm going to go for the genuine stuff myself. The rest of it's just all icing on the cake, with a wonderful, wonderful husband, and thank God our kids are healthy, and Giovanni, the golden retriever, is next to me. The house needs a ton of work, emphasis on ton of work, but you know what? It's warm, and we've got a house, and amen for that, and food and everything. My cup runneth over right now, I'll tell you that. And then she says, the blessing we'll meditate on today is health. We can't buy good health, no matter how much money we have. That's a sobering thought, because I think a lot of us think, and we're frequently, especially politically, and don't worry, you can hang up, but you don't need to. I'm not going to get into politics. I don't get into politics in any of my episodes or things I do in person, or I don't even touch any of that. That said, there is a lot of talk about the 1% or even the 5%, right? And here's the thing. None of that, is going to save, a child from some horrible terminal disease. We could throw all the money at it we want. And if it's kind of like if she or he's going to be able to get well with the good medical, the excellent medical care we have in the States and also other countries, then they're going to do everything they can. I believe that, obviously, that, medical people are really drawn into it for a reason, and they're going to do everything they can. And throwing more money at it isn't going to change that. And that's just the reality. And so we really need to, understand that and be just so grateful when our bodies are sort of the vessels that are carrying around our spirits on this earth are doing so very well, so that we're able to hug and kiss, walk, talk, do all of it, and breathe easily. That's one of my big things. See, hear. As you know, I mentioned my brother-in-law can't see, and I can count on 3 fingers the time I've seen him in a bad mood. And just to be so grateful when this honorable vessel of ours is carrying around our spirit is really doing it, really getting it done with flair, with healthy flair. So Sarah jumps back in with kind of what we just said, which is we can purchase the best medical treatment available in the world, but good health is not for sale. Good health is not for sale. Health is a priceless gift from spirit, capital S, that most of us take for granted until we become sick. And then she says, one of the most sublime experiences we can ever have is to wake up feeling healthy after we've been sick. And the person who said that is Rabbi Harold Kushner, who reminds us of this in Who Needs God. And then he says, even if it is only relief from a headache or a toothache, the health we take for granted most of the time is suddenly seen to be an incredible blessing. I have to just comment on that toothache thing, because that's another one I can really relate to. I think I was a freshman. In high school I had a round of it, and then I was at St. Mike's as a first year. I was 18 years old, my very first week, or maybe it was my second week, but I was brand new. And on the cross country team, you're trying to make your way, you're trying to fit in, you're trying to do all of it, stay, nervous about class, the whole thing, right? Having a grand old time, I have to tell you. and I got hit with an abscess tooth, man, and had to have a series of root canals and everything else. But I don't know if there's anything that takes over your thinking like an abscess tooth. I just don't know that there is. Because if you have a sprained ankle, you can put it up. If you have even a broken leg and a cast, you can put it up. But an abscess tooth takes over your whole world because it's just way too close to your brain. You can't think about anything else because it's just bang, 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 throb. And so that example really kind of sends it home for me. And then she says, today, realize if you have nothing else but your health, you are a wealthy person. If you have a healthy mind, a healthy heart, and reserves of stamina and creative energy to draw on, the world is literally lying at your feet. With your health, you have everything. And then Sarah kind of jumps into what we were saying, which Sean Aker was saying too. But health is not just the absence of sickness. A lot of people don't get that. And Sean Aker, who's also hysterical, I hope I get to meet him someday. I feel like we could have lunch for hours. One of many of my people, I just admire his work and everything else. But he talks about this, and he makes a joke about when there was some private school, I think down in Massachusetts, New England anyway, I'm pretty sure it was Massachusetts, but kind of a hoity-toity high-end prep school, and they invited him down to do wellness week, right? And they're obviously teenagers. So they said, okay, Monday, and I'm paraphrasing here, Monday we'll have anxiety, teenagers and anxiety. Tuesday we'll have teenagers and depression. Let me see, Wednesday will be eating disorders. Thursday will be addiction. And he says, well, that doesn't sound like a wellness week. That sounds like a sickness week. And he gets into the whole thing about the dis-ease, when we are at, diseased, mentally, physically, acknowledged as the same but different, right? They're different manifestations, but they're still unhealthy. It's a place of being unwell. That just the absence of that doesn't mean we're okay at all, because health is it's not just like the subtracting for the illness part. It's also the adding for the healthy part. It matters a lot. And so, good health, for example, Sarah talks about it. She says good health is vitality, vigor, high energy, emotional equilibrium, mental clarity, and physical endurance. She says these are the gifts to pray for. Not just that your, credit card charge purchase. What did she say? Credit charge. Oh, that's so 50s. Credit charge purchases will be approved, and you won't have to slink away in disgrace. That's because we're talking about the holiday season too, right? She said, take your vitamins. Thank Spirit, capital S, for the health you enjoy, and ask for more. And that's the thing. Remember, as far as the abundance, no matter whether it's physical health, mental health, the material things you do in your life, that you love your home, then put that out there that you love your home. Like I said, ours got work galore going on right now. I am so grateful for this beautiful house that's in the process of healing. I guess like we all are, right? And because when we put that out there, how grateful we are for what we've already got, more comes to us, and the same is true with health. Thank you, God, higher power, spirit, universe, thank you that I can breathe today. I have no cold today. I don't have to go to the doctor today. I don't even have to go to the pharmacy. I don't even need a cough drop today. My cup runneth over, absolutely runneth over. So she says, take your vitamins again. Thank Spirit for health you enjoy, and ask for more. If there's only one spiritual lesson I can inscribe on your consciousness, it's to ask. It's to ask. Ask and you shall receive. Ask, and if you don't get it, at least you tried. Ask and be specific. Today, why not ask for the creative and physical energy you'll need, not just to survive the holiday season, but to enjoy it. I love that. Surviving and thriving are not the same thing, right? And there are times, I want to be super clear with the disclaimer, there are times in life, we all know this if you lived any amount of years, right? I'm in my mid-50s at a fabulous 57. And there's a big difference, surviving and thriving. And there are times when we are surviving our day. I think we all know what that's like. And however, she says, put it out there. Put it out there into, send me the energy, send me the creative and physical energy so I can just, crush this holiday season, bring success to every bit of it. The meal, my conversations with people, even if there's some of them are pricklies, bring success to it in a way that maybe is non-combative. It ends up being smooth as a baby's bottom. There are all different ways to bring success to the holidays on a micro level and a macro level. So putting it out there for all that abundance, that is what we want to be doing. So awesome. The first wealth is health. Ralph Waldo Emerson. Have a mindful, very healthy day.